Hey there folks, today I'd like to take a casual peek into the Pacific Rim Leatherback Kaiju by NECA. This figure is part of a 2-pack that includes Leatherback as well as the Gypsy Danger Battle Damage Jaeger. This set is part of Series 2 of the Pacific Rim line of figures by NECA, and I believe was first available towards the end of 2013. I have no idea how much this set originally cost, but I did get this set in 2014 when I found it at a comic and toy convention called SatCon in June of 2014, and the vendor was selling it for $42.99, but I was able to purchase it from him for only $40. Now, this video is just going to focus on the Leatherback Kaiju, while a separate video will just focus on the battle-damaged Gypsy Danger. Taking a closer peek at Leatherback here, you can see the ginormous Kaiju figure here. And there is something about this particular Kaiju that I'll mention later. Due to scaling issues and I guess retailer issues, NECA had designed Kaijus in to almost 3 different sizes, and we'll go into that in a little bit. But this being a Series 2 release, this particular Kaiju is upscaled from a previous release, but still not upscaled to its current series release. And but it's still a pretty big figure. You can see it there. You can see it's dwarfs the Jaeger here on the left, but pretty cool. Nice to have a big Kaiju there. And you can see the packaging here with the Pacific Rim movie logo there at the top. And below the figure in front, you have a nice picture. Looks like an artist rendition of Leatherback there, and got some symbols going on there and color theme to match Leatherback there. And here on the back of the packaging, we have both figures featured again with the movie logo there. And it looks like the part of the paper packaging, the backing here, got pushed in during packing. But you could see that this particular Leatherback is a Category 4 Kaiju. Pretty neat. You got a symbol for the Kaiju. I think it's just a picture of the Kaiju's head there. And here we have other figures from the Pacific Rim line of action figures by NECA, and I believe they're a combination of Series 1 and Series 2. And these first 2 here on the left are from Series 1, I believe, Gypsy Danger and Knifehead. And I don't know about Crimson Typhoon, whether that was a Series 1 or 2 or not. But these 2, I believe, are Series 2, Leatherback and Striker Eureka. Now, we'll be right back and have this big guy here, Leatherback, out of the packaging. Okay, we have Leatherback here out of the packaging, and this is a pretty impressive figure. It's actually quite hefty. Large compared to NECA's other lines of figures. But even though it is a large figure, it's not the ideal size that NECA actually wanted for Pacific Rim Kaiju figures. If you're not familiar with the story, but before the release of the Pacific Rim Kaijus, at a retailer, Walmart, had expressed interest in releasing Pacific Rim figures through NECA. And to fit Walmart's, I guess, price point, the developers at NECA had to design the Kaiju figures to fit that certain price point. And as a result, they actually scaled down the Kaiju figures than what NECA had originally wanted to do. During that process, actually, Walmart backed out. I think close towards the end, towards the official release of these figures. So with them backing out and production already pretty much in place for the first wave at least, NECA had to release the figures in a smaller scale for the Kaiju. Now with Walmart backing out, NECA had the opportunity to go ahead and design the Kaiju figures as they originally envisioned them. And this particular figure, Leatherback, is part of the second wave of Pacific Rim figures, and is actually still not quite to the scale that NECA wants, but more of a transitional scale towards what NECA wanted to do with Kaiju. And so even though this guy here is pretty big, it's still not what NECA originally wanted to do. And this being a size or category 4 kaiju in the movies, this Leatherback is actually a pretty big fella. And even though he's still in a transitional scale, I still think it's pretty good and pretty big for what NECA has designed for these Pacific Rim figures. Now, just to do size comparisons with kaiju-related figures, we'll start off with a size comparison with the Gypsy Danger, which was packaged with this particular Leatherback. And we'll just put Gypsy Danger here right next to Leatherback. Now, it looks like Gypsy Danger is actually taller than Leatherback here, but Leatherback is using his quadrupedal mode, using all 4 limbs to move about. And if he were standing up as a biped, I think he's taller than Gypsy Danger. But you can see, even though he's a tad shorter here, he is much more massive in scale and density. Just a very bulky figure, while Gypsy Danger is a bit more lean. And for size comparisons of other kaiju-related figures, I do not have any of the Monster Arts figure line, but such as for Gogeta or Godzilla. But I do have a Godzilla figure to do a size comparison, and that's the NECA release, the movie release of Godzilla. And of course, scale is not equivalent, but we're just really comparing size of figures more than scale. And you can see here the Kaiju is a pretty big figure compared to Godzilla. Now, Godzilla here is a total of 12 inches long from head to tail. So the length of Godzilla here pretty much beats Leatherback there. But as far as size, of course, Leatherback is much more massive. And again, scale is not accurate. It's not really comparison. It's more about the size of the figure that we're comparing here. Scale-wise, I believe Godzilla is much bigger than Leatherback. But that's NECA's Godzilla. We also have other kaiju-related lines, such as Ultra Axe Ultraman, the renewal version. And you can see height-wise, it's pretty comparable. Scale-wise, of course, not accurate, but pretty cool. If you wanted to create your own universes, mix kaiju, it'd be pretty cool to have. Now, more in the kaiju realm of the Ultra Axe and Ultraman line, I do have Red King right there, and you can see size is a little bit closer now, which is pretty cool. So, size-wise, Leatherback is a very bulky figure. And now, I do not have the knife head from the third release out of the package yet. I do have it, but it's just not out of the package. And I believe the Battle Damage knife head is bigger than Leatherback because NECA has moved closer to what they wanted on size. So that's pretty cool. I I can't show it since it's not in out of package. It's not out of package, but it is a little bit bigger, as well as the other kaiju from Series 3 on there. So, but we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some of the more detailed aspects of leatherback here, and it's very detailed, and I really like what NECA did as far as detail is concerned, and it's very cool. Let me just raise this a little bit so you can get a close-up of the headshot there. Very cool. You could see overall it's just a very nicely sculpted figure. Lots of detail, especially on the texture of the skin of the figure. You got very rigid texture and bumpy textures all over it. Just very cool on there. Even spiky type textures here. You can see just overall very cool. And taking a closer peek at the head there. Let me just adjust this here. You can see it's very nice. And one thing I have to mention is that the teeth are not really painted, so they don't show up as well as if they were painted. Would have been nice if they painted that on there. But if you take a closer peek, I'm not sure if you can see the teeth there from the glares of the lights. But I may attempt to paint them myself to a more tooth-like color on there, and the top and the bottom rows of the teeth are just really molded in that plastic color there. And also what's lacking a bit of paint is the multiple eyes of this particular kaiju. You have the two main eyes that are painted in silver with a sliver of black for the pupil there, which is really nice. But the smaller eyes along more of the snout and on the side here are not painted at all. It looks like there's a bit of sculpting on there for the eyes, and it doesn't look like NECA went to the detail of actually painting the smaller eyes. And that's something I may attempt to do if I'm brave enough. They are quite small, but I'll see what I can do later on. But there are 3 sets of eyes for this particular kaiju from what I remember. And looking at the top here, you have some of the tendrils at the back. They're not soft, they're actually quite rigid. They do bend, but I don't think they're really meant for bending. They may snap off if you bend them, but they're painted a lighter blue color on there, more closer to the bioluminescent lines on the body here, which is cool. It's supposed to give off a sort of a neon type of effect, but it's a nice. It's got that I guess slight gloss to it on the color to make it look nicer, which is pretty cool. And looking at the main torso area, you can see very rigid details on there and sculpting details on this figure. And then you have the bioluminescent lines there painted in a more metallic, glossy, lighter blue there. But the main body is very gray with a slight tinge of blue that's painted on there and dry brushed on the figure. Very cool. You can see some of the details on the texture and the skin. Very cool, very leather-like, as the name implies, leatherback. And also the name is also an allusion to, I guess, the simian-type nature of this particular kaiju. Very much like a gorilla. So I guess the name is derivative from silverbacks. In this case, it's leatherback because of the skin there. You can see the back here, very cool, nice texture detail and sculpting. And I believe this was that EMP device that's implanted on this particular kaiju. It looks like it was a separate piece that's glued on here, because it does slightly move when you move it around, but it's glued into place. It's not meant to be removed on there, but you can see how it protrudes from the back there, and is protected by these walls of I guess bone there. So that's kind of neat. You just see more of the sculpting detail going on here. It's just very cool. And then you got these pads on the shoulder to protect, I guess, the head of the figure a little bit. Almost like armor shoulder pads there, but these are, of course, part of the kaiju here. You see the very massive front arms of this particular kaiju, and the way that's sculpted, the hands, very simian-like nature, where the knuckle draggers here, you could say, of the gorillas, which is pretty neat. And of course you have more short, squat legs for leatherback here. Again, an allusion to the leatherback, or the silverbacks of the gorillas. Very, very cool. Now you can, with a little work, get this to stand as a bipedal kaiju, but with the short, squat legs, it's rather difficult. I haven't tried it yet, so it may not even be possible without the support of the front arms. But you can get it in a more bipedal type pose, and it becomes a bit taller in stature. But still a pretty cool figure, and very heavy figure too. It is not. I think it's a little bit hollow, but it's just very thick plastic used. At least hollow in the torso area. So even though it may be a bit hollow, but it's still thick plastic, and makes the figure overall very heavy compared to other NECA type figures. So really cool kaiju figure here in the detail, and very, very nice. Now to go over some of the articulation for leatherback here, we'll start off with the head. The head at the neck, I believe, is on just a swivel joint. It may be on a ball joint, but the only motion I can get on this figure is to go all the way around at the neck. It really does not move side to side or up or down. And I think it may be due to the sculpt on here. There may be a ball joint on there, so I'm not sure. The jaw does open and close on there, which is nice. And when you have it open, you can see the tongue. It's sculpted in there and painted in that bioluminescent-like color, which is pretty cool on there. The arms at the shoulders can go all the way around, and it's pretty tight on my figure, and does swing in and out just a little bit, but not too much. There are hinge joints at the elbows that allow you to bend the arm about that far in and this far out. Again, limited due to the sculpt in the joint area. Would have been nice to extend the arm out a little bit more, but you can't on there. There are swivel joints at the wrists that allow you to move the hand all the way around. And you can move it slightly side to side, just very slightly, not much movement there. Again, I think there might be a ball joint, but due to the sculpt, it does limit the movement. The fingers on this figure are articulated, which is very cool. You have the three main digits there that can move in and out on a hinge type joint. So that's really cool. It does have an opposable thumb that can articulate slightly, and is on a hinge joint as well. So, but very small movement on that thumb-like appendage there. There is no articulation at the waist or torso. It's just all one piece for the main torso there. The legs at the hip, I believe, are on a ball joint. They can go all the way around. Let me get this out of the way. They can go all the way around, as well as slightly side to side, but not that much, again, due to the sculpt. The knees here do bend back and forward, and there's an additional hinge at the calf area, if you can call it, which is a hinge joint. So it does provide additional articulation here, and it's just slightly on its own moves, not that much, but with the combination of this joint and the knee, you can get some decent poses on there. And the feet or I should say at the ankle, is a ball joint, but again, it's due to limitations on the sculpt. It does move just a little bit. You can move it all the way around, and you can even slightly do some ankle pivot on it, but not much on overall. But still a nice range of motion overall on this leg here, with the combination of all of these joints. So I think it makes up for the limited articulation of the individual joints on that leg. But overall, as a figure, it's great. I really enjoyed the Pacific Rim movie and this franchise in this figure, and I look forward to getting the other kaijus as it comes out. I believe a Scunner is coming out as part of Wave 4. And I do have the other one from Wave 3 already, besides the damaged knife head. And I just really like how NECA has provided all of this detail on these kaiju figures. This is my casual peek into the NECA Pacific Rim leatherback figure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.